Hello, I'm Archana Jamatia. Today I'm going to give a talk on the role of ethics in teaching. Knowledge is power. If we want to see our nation on its highest peak, then we must give all attention on imparting knowledge to the coming generations. However, it is not possible without an institution and importantly without teacher. To teach there must be some ethics or dharmas for it to function in full-fledged manner. In Indian tradition, the history has given great emphasis on learning and on the role of studentship, but few rules and ethics were given to the role of teacher. There are many instructions in the process of learning and status are given to the teacher depending on the nature or the goal of the teaching. However, we do know that great teacher has produced a great figure in the history. Chanakya has made Chandragupta Maurya and Aristotle has made great Alexander. However, it is important to distinguish between knowledge and teaching, as knowledge doesn't really guarantee the ability of teaching. Chandragupta Maurya learned great political affairs from Chanakya, yet he may or may not have the skill of teaching. Same is applied to Alexander. There are also cases where the student has turned into teachers, like Aristotle was a student once and he became a teacher. And Bhishma was a student of Parshurama and he was also teacher of Pandu, Vidur and Dhritarashtra. So we get a statement, teaching implies the knowledge plus skill of subject, but knowledge of the subject doesn't guarantee the skill in teaching. A short narratives from Mahabharata to illustrate my statement on how knowledge and teaching may be at par with, but in its ways it may differ. When Pandu was sure to die after being intimate with his second wife Matri due to the curse, he wanted to impart all the knowledge that he has gained throughout his life. He was learned man, there is no doubt in that, but he lacked the skill in teaching. Therefore, to transfer his knowledge to his children, he instructed his 5 children to consume his flesh after his death. The purpose was to transfer the physical memory which he could not do through his testimony. Though none other than Sahadev remembered to consume Pandu's flesh is a different matter, but the point is that teaching is a form of art or a skill that requires a skill, and along with skill, it is important to adopt some methodology. Hence, teaching method is a paramount. Along with methodology, there should be universally agreed ethic or moral values. Ethics plays an important role in every field. Without ethics, an organizing body cannot function. Because of the responsibility of a teacher holds, the application of ethics is more important in this field. Ethics seems a very important subject matter to be discussed upon. By being very careful, first let me highlight the general definition of ethics. Ethics as value and dharma led us to various definitions. However, the general definition is 1. Ethic is the study of right and wrong, which brings up another problem to be looked into, that is, what is right against what is wrong. Since ethics is about action, it leads me to another question. What kind of actions are right actions? The probable answer would be that whichever gives us good consequences without asking the questions what is good, for attempting to answer the question will lead to n number of questions, hence deviating from the major task, that is the definition of ethics. It is mandatory to at least answer these 3 questions for basic ground of knowledge on ethics. Actions are considered to be right when it generates a positive outcome, and actions are considered to be not right when it generates a negative outcome. There are actions where there are neither positive nor negative consequences. They are neutral. So we move another step ahead of ethics, that is deontology and teleology. The statement 4 and 5 would fall under teleology, and the statement 6 would fall under deontology. In statement 4 and 5, the consequences determines the action are suited or not. For example, I should read in order to get good result. The good result will secure my future with good employment. I don't read, then I don't get good result. With that, no good employment, hence no better chance for good life. I read because I love to read. I am not worried about what it gives me or what it will give me now. It won't. Generally, the purpose of education is taken in the form of being productive for the society and for self. Hence, we can take the premise 4 by default as the purpose of education. So, going with the theory, it can be said that teaching should also move towards the same action, that is being productive in teaching. The problem to be faced through this is the terminology productive. Okay, what is meant by productive? By productive, it is generally understood in terms of economy or wealth for self, state and nation, and political relation between states and nation. A nation cannot hold onto deontic state of education. Teleologic becomes a requirement by default. Therefore, everywhere curriculum of institution is programmed in that format for the students to be productive, which implies to carry good grades. Good grades will relatively ensure the students' welfare, hence again redirecting to the development of nation. Now, how to imply the concept of productivity? As the quotation by Confucius suggests, if your plan is for 1 year, then plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children. Hence, deontic methods along with teleologic methods enter into the realm of teaching. Even when the peoples are not willing to learn, it is the duty of nation to comply the people on education, since it is the teacher to whom the government has entrusted the future of the nation. So it is the prime duty of teacher to impart education by every possible means, though it may be a difficult task to practice. The teacher may face various kinds of barriers, as unlike other nations, India is a nation of multilingual, multicultural and multi-values. It is difficult then, and it will be difficult now, to make a precise ethical norms in teaching. However, it is important that the teachers are tied to some ethics stated by the law, and at the same time maintaining their own ethics. So, the first principle: a teacher should adopt political neutrality. Why? Like a physician, a teacher must not take any sides. When he or she has political side, then there are high chances of political biasness, which he or she may implement to the people. Now, this statement can be objected by counter-argument that the student should be aware of politics. However, the job of a teacher should be only to teach theory or keep the students well informed of the subject area the teacher is expert in. Now, second principle: teachers ought to influence students to read original text and do same for self, and never to teach without a text. The beauty of reading a text is that every time one goes through the original text, a new idea gets generated. It is the text which helps in preserving tradition and vice versa. The claim over the knowledge is but the shadow or the memory that continuously repeat action through the language. That means that we are as knowledge is but a plagiarism. However, Dr. Hiraman Tiwari, assistant professor of the Department of History, JNU, states that it is not the case because the text gets interpreted according to the time, in the new time and in the new format. This is what a teacher is supposed to do: read the text to his people. And what makes it possible is the reading of the original text or quoting his statement. To make a meaningful intervention, one should go back to the original text. By reading the original text, one can regenerate new stories, sutras, theory out of it. The technical problem before us is the method of reading the text. We must go back to our old text if we are to teach or read. It is only by reading the text that teaching is really possible. Now, you create new text when you read a text. One cannot create sutra unless one read a text. Now, third principle. Now, a teacher should tell students to memorize verses. I am not saying to plagiarize ideas. Memory and plagiarism are two different things. Memory is remembering, whereas plagiarism is stealing somebody's idea and making it as own. Now, why memory? Because memory is a reflection. Memory reflects one's tradition, history, civilization. It is through memory that knowledge or gyan is possible. Memory generates ideas. Every gyan arises through words and languages, says Nyaya Vaisheshika. Now, Bhartrihari also gave importance to language. The entire philosopher gave importance to language, and language is not possible without memory. Repeating a work of art is a different kind of talent. For example, Kalidasa, Tulsi, Kavi Rabindranath Tagore, how they beautifully repeated the character of King Dushyant and Shakuntala. The mourning of Ram is separation with his beloved wife Sita in Meghadutam from the original texts Ramayana and Mahabharata. That's the reason there is a various version of Ramayana and Mahabharata without any plagiarism. Therefore, memory needs to be worked on repeatedly, and it is a compulsion for a teacher to repeat the text again and again with recreation but without plagiarism. Now, memory creates a tradition, yet tradition is not to be confused with rituals, as rituals are economic and political affairs. No memory means no tradition. Many states of affairs which are not possible without memory, such as devotion, which cannot arise unless he or she has the memory of devotee. The wonderful poem needs vachana, a speech with the power which is not possible without memory. Memory is crucial for sanskar, which he says memory is a textual DNA, and inferences will not arise without memory, said by Dignaga. However, memory is in danger today due to the technical advance, so also the text, because of hand-down notes and the wiki information. So I have stated 3 principles. Now, responsibility of a teacher, other than the 3 principles. So besides ethics, a teacher must keep some sense of responsibility or duty that comes with care. The number 1, focused on the pattern of the syllabus and questions. The teaching methodology should depend on the degrees of student, depending on the expectation of students. Hence, understanding psychology of students. Number 3, mutual respect is important for critical thinking. Therefore, a student or teacher should respect each other. Now, the student should be encouraged to questions and effective reading. Now, it is important to help the student to teach the relevance of subject, as various departments' outlook on the same subject differs. In this context, the philosophical relevance, hence, engage the classroom teaching with the world around us with the hermeneutic reading. Now, a professional teacher has to be a professional actor or try to be an actor so that he can engage his student. Now, teacher has to infect the people with passion. Now, teacher should teach with the precision. Now, teacher has to try to find out the history of the subject by giving reference to other literature that students can access or read. Therefore, to make a qualitative teaching, it is important to look into the history of text. Now, a teacher must frame grammar. Now, how to draw this frame is by actively exploring the frame. Active exploration implying the exploration of reading various materials. If a teacher fails to draw frame for the students, then the teaching will be just propaganda. When a teacher successfully draws a frame, then he or she is making both the teacher and learner active participants in the learning process. The methods then becomes an inquiry rather than instruction, thereby gave two ways of teaching. First, grammar of framing, and secondly, comparative learning, that is interpreting across the boundary. Now, a teacher should adopt the method of storytelling. A teacher should make himself or herself honest, commitment, passionate and punctual for his work to be visible to the student. A teacher should have aesthetic sensibility and creativity. A teacher should be open-minded, which is an important factor for teachers. A teacher should know name of every student, which may seem so difficult, but if it is tried by the teachers, then the teacher can function well in the classroom. Now, these are not the end of norms. As teaching and learning is a continuous process, I would like to keep it as open-ended. Thank you.